Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Some breaking news for the Buckeye fans. Saturday night as Air Noland, one of the last remaining true blue chipper quarterbacks in this 2024 class, has committed to Ohio State. This kind of caps off a phenomenal week for Ohio State on the recruiting trail. Obviously, Mylan Graham committing earlier this week. And again, the Ohio State Buckeyes are doing what the Ohio State Buckeyes have done for the last couple of years and just continuing to pump out phenomenal recruiting classes. We'll get a little bit into why I think this is such a big commit. But before we do, again, I just want to say thank you to you guys. Again, all the support, even late Saturday night, you guys checking us out. It truly has been absolutely awesome. So if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We really do appreciate y'all. Dill, I'm going to kick this one off to you. What does this mean for the Ohio State Buckeyes?
I mean, this is a huge get, and we've been talking about it, how Dylan Raiola put him in a sort of a tough spot in a sense by committing so early in that 2024 year, making it harder for them to recruit the 23 class quarterback, and then obviously making it a little challenging to recruit this 24 class. But they end up getting a really good player. I mean, as good as they could have wanted, really, at the end of the day. And they look like they're plenty set to kind of continue the run they've been on of playing really good offense.
Yeah, and Air Noland has been a riser in the recruiting rankings. Again, you see as one of the best quarterbacks in the class, top 100 dude. I wouldn't be surprised if you see him finish with a 5-star status. His stats from junior year are absolutely insane. Over 4,000 yards passing, 55 touchdowns to only 3 interceptions. There's not been a more productive quarterback at the high school levels on Friday night than Air Noland. And when it got down to it, when you're looking at his top 7, the choice just seemed to be obvious. There were no crystal balls going anywhere. But when me and you were talking, for him not to go to Ohio State just would have made very little sense. One, you're going to a program that has just pumped out 2 elite quarterbacks going to the NFL. Second, Ryan Day has done a phenomenal job designing an offense where you're going to be able to put points on the board. Then you look at the wide receivers that they've accumulated in this 2024 class, and Jeremiah Smith and Mylan Graham. And then you look to the 2023 class with Noah Rogers, Carnell Tate, Brandon Innes. You're going to be throwing to some of the best wide receivers in college football for multiple years. The landing spot's perfect. I think they really needed this at the quarterback position. Massive win for the Ohio State Buckeyes on the recruiting trail.
Yeah, I mean, and at this point in the game, the competition, I guess Miami, but I can't. I mean, Miami versus Ohio State, it's like night and day in terms of whether you want to play really good quarterback. And then the other school I figure probably had a shot was Clemson, because Clemson, again, Dabo's done it. I mean, say what you will about him, but for a lot of his years, he's done a really good job with quarterbacks. So that's probably what I would have guessed. But I think you're right. At the end of the day, Ohio State, it's a perfect situation he's walking into, because he's not really backed up from the 23 class by a guy who's going to be there for the incumbent starter, where he's going to push him out. I think Air Noland can certainly come in
playing time early.
Yeah.
And Air Noland, to get a little bit about the player, and this is going to sound crazy of me to say it, but when I was watching a bunch of his film earlier today, CJ Stroud-esque, I don't think he has the strongest arm in the world. You see guys like Anthony Richardson or Will Levis, and what's the one kind of knock on CJ Stroud? He might not pump the football like Will Levis or Anthony Richardson. Why do we value CJ Stroud so highly in the NFL draft? Because of the accuracy, because of the ability to layer the football and put it right on receivers who can then extend plays after the catch. That's what Air Noland does. This dude does not miss throws. He puts throws on dimes. And when you look at how that Ohio State offense works, a lot of it has to do with let's get the football out early, on time, and accurate to our 5-star playmaking wide receivers and then let them do the rest. That's kind of what CJ Stroud did. That's exactly what you see from Air Noland. And again, you won't find any other quarterback in this 2024 class that has put up the numbers that Air Noland has. I think it's a massive get for a lot of different reasons. And also one other thing, kind of connecting him more to CJ Stroud. Similar frame, 6'3", about 190 plus pounds. CJ Stroud obviously gained some weight once he got to Columbus, but not necessarily athletes who want to run with the football, but both capable athletes in terms of extending plays. I think so much knock on CJ Stroud is always not an athlete who can extend plays. No, CJ Stroud can extend plays. He's not necessarily a run-first quarterback. He can use his athleticism to extend plays. You saw it in the Georgia game. I think that's what Air Noland does. He's not necessarily looking to run the football, but if he does need to extend plays, he certainly can do that. And that's
not what Ohio State wants to do anymore. That's obviously what they wanted with Urban Meyer. They wanted run. They were a quarterback run first kind of offense. Like they didn't put up these passing stats, but with Ryan Day, he is certainly not looking for a guy to run the QB option and read option. That's going to be the base of the offense. It is very, I mean, in a sense, pro style in terms of how they want to throw it and throw from the pocket and throw out a play action, but not use their quarterbacks as the primary runner, which is obviously what Urban did. And that's changed. That's changed how Ohio State's frankly been able to recruit that position, as you see with guys like CJ Stroud and now Air Noland and others.
Yeah, it's actually wild that, and I'm not just saying he's like the next CJ Stroud. Don't get me wrong. It's just like what I saw from him watching like his film from high school is like that's kind of what CJ Stroud does. He's not pumping the ball in there, but he's just on time. He's accurate, and that's exactly what CJ Stroud is. Like we say it all the time. CJ Stroud is the most accurate passer in this year's NFL draft. Air Noland, probably one of the more accurate quarterbacks in this 2024 class. And taking a look at how this 2024 class, yes, it might have gotten off to a slow start, but the last week has been absolutely massive for Ohio State. Obviously, James Peoples, a four-star running back from Texas, committing. Mylan Graham, one of the best wide receivers in the country. You have Jeremiah Smith. Once again, you're looking at a top 5, top 3 class for the Ohio State Buckeyes in this 2024 group.
And what Air Noland should do at the end of the day is keep everything intact. I mean, now if you're Jeremiah Smith, Mylan Graham,
you gotta keep him there.
Really questioning what's going to be at quarterback. And now that's not to say like a team like Georgia or somebody couldn't poach Jeremiah Smith. Obviously, they're coming after him. The schools are very much coming after him. But now you're Ohio State. You're not like hamstrung by They missed out on Air Noland. I'm not 100% sure where they were going to go at quarterback because they'd already kind of missed out on Dylan Raiola and then Jaden Davis at the end, kind of on the heels. So
and it's looking at Lincoln Kienholz. And again, I probably misphrased that when we were recording about Mylan Graham. Like Lincoln Kienholz is good. He's a good quarterback. He was a good get coming from South Dakota, but not necessarily the caliber of quarterback that you're used to pulling if you're Ohio State. Air Noland is much more like that. And looking at the recruiting, like the selling point is just it's getting so much easier for Ryan Day, Brian Hartline, and all those offensive coaching staffs at Ohio State. Like, come to Ohio State, you're going to be developed into a first-round NFL draft pick, and you're going to get a chance to win a national title. And that's pretty much checks off every single box of what these high school kids are looking for.
Yeah, that's all that matters for once you get it. When you're recruiting those type of players, like, yeah, it's about the NFL. It's really nothing else. So, like, can you get me ready for that?
Also, just one other thing to note before we kind of shut it off and let you guys enjoy your Saturday night is Peyton Pierce, another crystal ball from Steve Wilfong logged for Ohio State. It's looking like it's going to be a really exciting April for Ohio State on the recruiting trail. And recruiting is all about momentum, and you're seeing both Michigan and Ohio State just having a ton of momentum on the recruiting trail. Obviously, this is the third commit of a top 100 prospect for Ohio State this week. Peyton Pierce, another crystal ball coming in. It's looking like it's going to be a very fun April for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Spring game coming up next weekend, so we'll be definitely recapping that too. So again, if you guys do enjoy the content, lock in, subscribe to the channel because I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of Ohio State news coming in the month of April. We appreciate all you guys for checking us out. Again, if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.